crime. And then I want to address immigration. Because the one thing I really can't stand about all of these debates is Mehdi Hasan comes out and says, immigrants make us money. And my only response to that is, Mehdi, it's not always about money, isn't it? And they play this really funny clip where he's like, I'm an immigrant. And the guy goes, get out. I don't want you here. Well, that's not effective debating.
What's going on, you guys? Today we have Tim Pool short-circuiting, talking about Mehdi Hasan. Tim Pool cannot wrap his head around the arguments that Mehdi Hasan is saying. Let's get into it.
Mehdi Hasan appeared on Jubilee's Surrounded. It was one progressive versus 20 far-right conservatives. And Mehdi, I respect his talent and capabilities in this field, but boy, is this a stupid game. I'm not a big fan of Jubilee's format. I respect and appreciate what they're trying to do. I think it is biased, and I don't think it really works. But Mehdi Hasan shows up, and he makes a couple of claims. One, that Donald Trump is pro-crime. You know what, man? Sometimes you find these breakout stars on Jubilee. But there's a reason why Mehdi Hasan is a prominent personality on the left, and there's a reason why I'm a prominent personality associated with the conservatarian sect. The reason I say that is because the right is a bit more disparate than the progressive left. And I'm not a staunch mega conservative, but in a similar space. I digress. The reason why is because we are both people who dedicate our time and energy specifically towards researching these topics and debating them. Now, Mehdi, however, does exactly what you'd expect of progressives and liberals. These are not real arguments. There's no actual attempt at understanding. And this is what I just cannot stand, and I lose all faith in humanity on. Now, I only have so much time, so I'm not going to play a 2-hour-long debate commenting on literally everything. That video would be 8 hours long, but actually, you know what? That's a really good idea for a show. Me and the boys turn on the big screen, and then we comment with microphones like Mystery Science Theater, but I digress. I'm going to challenge some of his ideas because I feel like, you know, when I watch these shows, you know me, I got all the opinions in the world, even when they're wrong. And I see this from Mehdi, and I'm like, this is not legit, okay? The arguments that he's making are not legitimate. And what I mean is, it's not that he's wrong. It's that the premise is stupid. So let's start with his first stupid claim, that Donald Trump is pro-crime. And then I want to address immigration. Because the one thing I really can't stand about all of these debates is Mehdi Hasan comes out and says, immigrants make us money. And my only response to that is, Mehdi, it's not always about money, isn't it? And they play this really funny clip where he's like, I'm an immigrant. And the guy goes, get out. I don't want you here. Well, that's not effective debating.
My first claim is Donald Trump is pro-crime and pro-criminal.
Okay. I know where this is going. He's literally...
You know, it's funny. It's the people that stole the land from America in the first place. They're going to sit here and they're going to say, oh, look, yeah, this land was stolen from us. And it's just a little bit ironic, the lack of self-awareness that, you know, that these people that are, you know, very much holding on to these talking points, how little self-awareness they have.
We're really talking about January 6th, and this is just stupid. The first and most obvious thing is that anybody who pardons anybody, it's a special case. It doesn't mean they're pro-crime across the board. Mehdi Hasan's argument is largely Donald Trump pardoned some really bad people. Therefore, all criminals everywhere he's in favor of. Why are we wasting our time with this? Does any reasonable person see this and say, that makes sense? No, the reality is there are people who are tribalist, who are going to hear what Mehdi says, and they're liberal or progressive, and they go, I agree with Mehdi Hasan. Now, here's the stupid thing about Jubilee I always criticize. Come on, like this dude right here ain't getting that chair. What's the point of this? You don't need a countdown for this. Oh, look, the guy literally sitting next to it.
Nice to meet you. I'm Mehdi.
I would just like to ask, what makes someone pro-crime versus, anti-crime?
I think when you're soft on criminals, when you let criminals out of prison, when you pardon people who assaulted police officers, you're pro-criminal. Donald Trump pardoned almost 1,600 people who were involved in January the 6th. I think 600 of them had been charged with assaulting a police officer or obstructing a police officer. 170 had pled guilty to assaulting a police officer. 70 had pled guilty to assault with a deadly weapon. J.D. Vance said, we're not going to pardon the violent criminals from January 6th. Donald Trump pardoned all of them. Are you okay with that?
I say yes. Here's my response. Yes, I am. How long is long enough for assault on an officer, even the most egregious ones? In one instance, Mehdi Hasan references a guy who was accused of stomping on an officer's head. I mean, that's really, really bad. I would say this. 3 years in jail for battery. Now, don't get me wrong. Assault with a deadly weapon is interesting, but guilty pleas in and of themselves are not proof that the person actually did it. And I don't think Mehdi Hasan would want to make that argument in every other case when you have tons of individuals in prison in Chicago, LA, and New York who pleaded guilty despite being innocent or the charges being trumped up because they were scared of what's called the trial tax or the jury tax. So let me just say this. What a silly argument, Mehdi Hasan. Simply because Donald Trump pardoned the J6ers does not mean he's pro-crime. He's pro his own personal supporter. By all means, call him biased and say he's not seeking out other individuals who have engaged in comparable crimes and did comparable time. This was a personal issue to him.
And look, I mean, you can sit here and say that Donald Trump is not pro-criminal, and you can preach however many Fox News talking points you want, Temple, but at the very end of the day, you literally have him covering up his own dirty work with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, the fact that he's aligning himself with all these other criminals. He's aligning himself with Alan Dershowitz, who, you know, I believe Alan Dershowitz wanted to make, the age of consent 14 years old. At one point, he was lobbying to get that done. So it's nothing but criminals that Donald Trump is surrounding himself with, saying that Jeffrey Epstein is his best friend. I would have to say that you are the company that you keep. So it's hard for me to say that Donald Trump is not pro-crime and pro-criminal.
That being said, there were two lawyers in New York who were giving out Molotov cocktails, and they got sweetheart deals. I'm not going to sit here and say they're soft on crime or pro-crime. It's obvious. These are political factions, and these individuals support their political factions. I would call this tribalism. The argument that Donald Trump is pro-crime, this is what I can't stand about the left. This is why I don't do it. Dude, if we went on policy issues alone, I'd probably be center-left, libertarian-ish. But these people are liars. And the problem I have is the only people who get behind Mehdi Hasan know it's sophistry and he's lying. Obviously, Trump isn't pro-crime. They're calling him a fascist and authoritarian. What he's doing is saying he's pro-crime to trigger an emotional response in his supporters. Say, how dare you call him pro-crime? And then highlight specifically one moment. But let's move forward. Claim 2, Donald.
So there we have it, you guys. And I mean, look, Donald Trump, not only is he hanging around with criminals, but he's just bullying in the first place. He is displaying these very, these different personality traits that you would find with people that, that aren't necessarily wanting that. It's anti-social behaviors. He's out here wanting to bully these different countries. He's using the well-being of us. I mean, if you look at all the tariff issues and everything, he's using the well-being of this country to push around these other countries, thinking that he can do that still, thinking that this is, in the 1950s or something. Not only is he wanting to do these, strong arm type of activities, but they're not even working because we don't even have the same position that we did as an empire, as a country, however you want to see it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So it's another day in the progressive way.